ICIMOD plus all the partners from FAO and all the participants from around the world. From Nepal, good afternoon to all. I'm very pleased that I have been asked to welcome you to the opening of this very important webinar, Women, Farmers and Sustainable Mechanization, Improving Lives and Livelihoods in the Hindu Kush Himalaya. ICIMOD is very pleased to organize this webinar in collaboration with our valued partner, Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO. I understand that through this collaboration, we will continue to organize a series of country-specific and regional webinars, and that today's webinar is the first one of its kind. As you all know, ICIMOD is an intergovernmental regional organization and works in the Hindu Kush Himalayan region that extends from Afghanistan to Pakistan, China, Nepal, India, Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Myanmar. The region is home to around 240 million people whose lives and livelihoods depend on the natural resources and ecosystem services that it provides. However, very pleased, the region is also highly dynamic with the opening of this important and environmental drivers of change, farmers and sustainable mechanization, climate change, improving lives posing negative impacts on the resources and local communities. ICIMOD is very pleased to organize this women and men directly affected by the combined impact of these changes, thereby posing a major challenge to the development agenda of the United Nations, the FAO, and these developed countries. Agriculture, primarily rain-fed agriculture, is one of the major food options in this region and is the key to achieving food and nutrition security. Women have been the driving force in this agriculture system, often characterized by small, fragmented and today on very steep terrain. Mountain agriculture is physically demanding and time-consuming. It's the first one investment in mountain agriculture, and as you all know, ICIMOD has resulted in low productivity and lack of farm employment options, pushing men into seeking alternative livelihoods in urban areas or in other countries. Women in many areas have been compelled to take on tasks formerly done by men. An increasing feminization of refinery to Pakistan, China, mountain agriculture has emerged as one of the most pressing issues, with mostly women and elderly being left behind to take the responsibilities for farming. Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Myanmar. Given the demands of regional agriculture and subsistence activities on women's time, on top of their already heavy work burden of domestic work and communal activities, women are often caught in poverty plus undermining their self-dependence on the natural resources. At ICIMOD, we strongly support transformative approaches for achieving gender equality. Lack of access to labor system services and the most basic of farm tools continue to compromise the productivity of many women smallholders in the mountains. We definitely see access to tools, machines, and technologies as an important transformative approach to empower women farmers in the mountains. To improve access, we must make this farm machinery and equipment not only accessible, but also...
So now we're moving into the main session where we have two key presentations and a speed talk. And before we move beyond those presentations into our question and answer and now we're discussions around call for action sessions, I'd like to request participants again to provide valuable questions and feedback chat box. I see people already have left some comments and questions in there. If you haven't done so, and if one of our speakers, two key presentations and a speed talk, provides the motivation, please do provide a question or comment on that speaker. And we've only got 10 minutes for that session, so provide valuable questions and feedback. Very choosy, but hopefully we can get to your left some comments. And I asked the speakers also to respond to the relevant questions in the chat box. One of our speakers, now I'm really happy, very happy, provides the motivation to limited, and we've only got 10 minutes for that. Make her keynote presentation and let me remind everyone that make sure you have 15 minutes. Very choosy, but hopefully we can get over to you. Comments.
Can you hear me now?
I asked yes. Speakers also.
All right. Shall I go ahead?
Yes, go ahead.
I know that the next 15 minutes will go very, very fast. So basically, I want to, I'm happy to come to this webinar because this is one of the topics of my passion. I've been trying to see how women can be helped in different ways, and looking at the ground, the span of the country, I feel that knowing what is happening in the field of the world of the mechanization, and also being very, very closely familiar with what women are doing, I see a tremendous gap. And I come from the background of microfinance. I'm a CEO and also a founder of this women-founded 93 women have put their money. There's no international agencies or government involved. It's us who put the money to make it a national microfinance program. So our focus is really not going after the sheer values and the dividends, but our focus is primarily, apart from getting the benefits, to really reach out to women where nobody has thought about them, to see and access them with credits and see what other area information and technologies could we be able to package together with the money. And so that's where I come from. Very, very fast. And so basically, I'm trying to see, I want on the ground reality, what can the microfinance sector do in promoting mechanization and really walk the talk of really empowering women. Webinar, much talk. I mean, you can see in the research there's so much talk going on with like equity and so go down to the ground ways. You find that the looking at the interventions, the policies begins to shift until it itself also knowing what is happening in the world of the mechanization. It's nice and also back to being very closely familiar with what women are doing. Webinars, where I started my career about 33 years ago of microfinance, CEO and also a founder of this project. That's the first time that the gender has entered into the country. Have their money. job was to look after internalizing gender perspectives in mountain research and development in 1988. After 33 years, is really nice. I see that the topic still goes vibrantly. I don't know how many, but our focus is what we have been able to do in the ground, but then we really reach out about it. So in a way, nobody has thought nice to see that the discussion has taken a different form. So see what I wanted to say is that information and technology might be able to knowledge about the together with the money, and so that's where I come from. I work with microfinance where 99% of clients are women. And ground reality, directly or indirectly, these women are really sustaining their livelihood, sustaining the country's soil, promoting mechanization activity, really. And we are trying to see that how the women can be economically empowered. And then I see that there is enormous mechanization goes down to the ground where it changes the livelihood and also the economy of looking at the women. I'm trying to say that my 34 brands, okay, now mostly I said that all the branches also back to this very well, and women I started my career largely in the mountains and hills. We saw that work and also the mountains and the hills that's the first time that does not gender were not accessed by financial services. So our 93 women came together in research and to make it really see how the women can be supported. And years is really nice to see that there are about 76 microfinance. What we have been able to do for our focus, but then how these women can not only be given a credit in a way, but how they can be supported in a different way so that they can actually emerge as what I wanted to say is that information, please. My be able to knowledge together with the money, and so that's where I come from. Okay, now I just wanted to, before going, talking about this largely directly about how good it can be and how good it could be for the women and so on, but I just want to see that we need to really understand that we are trying to how much can be. I want to show some of the working areas of our program, because it's not quite easy reaching out with women. I mean, for me, when I started, I used to open the branch in Hawaii, for instance, where the mountains had their headquarters always. We have to literally get the services from the videos, the police, and so forth to really take the money to their area, to their schools and their homes, to their mountains and the hills. It's one of the toughest things, and that's why we chose to work in such areas, because no other people would. They are with just our state of language. You're always judging to make it analysis, whether how much you are spending and how much you are earning. We said that the earning can not necessarily be in the form of money, but it can be in the form of really empowering women, and we are trying to be given some of this. So I just wanted to go to the pictures, run through the pictures to see, like, this is the picture from Calicut, across from the and this is a picture that's taken from the Sula when we went to that area 30 years ago, like exploring where we should be reaching out. We really get apart from the videos, the free maps, but to really how the money down. And so this is a picture from Raksiram, where largely the Chipangs and the wood mountains, and by somehow it's one of the top regions where women are not being accessed. Large, lot of women are in the region, is the Tamils and the Chipangs, the Muggers, the Harus, and this is an area that I running down from our past areas. Next one, please. Run through the pictures to see, like, did we lose it? This is the picture from Calicut. We have the And this is obviously same from France in that area. No, it's not. I can only see my city or reaching out. We really get the feel of really how the money. Yes. So this is a picture of can you see what else? What right now?
I realize it's a photo.
Okay, it's a photo. One picture is from the next picture is from Nuwapur. It's around Kokani area. These are the areas that we started to the next one is this is the area that I mean it's about an hour or 2 hours from Kathmandu, but then you see the terrain that is next one please. Completely different world. And the next slide, basically I'm trying to now focus on like what can we, how do we bring a marriage of the microfinance and the mechanization together? We have the, can you see the slide? Okay, yes. So all I'm trying to see is that my native focus is like apart from really talking about how beneficial it can be, and also the earlier presentation said that although mechanization has increased tremendously, and I just went through a survey in our branches, and 45 branches out of 34 had actually completed about 25 or 30 women, but we have about 26,000 borrowers. So this picture shows, the magnitude, opportunity that they are now with the merging what is going on. We have about 76 branches across the country, and with about nearly 20,000 staff, and the members are about 2.9, basically almost 5 million, about billion in this microfinance. Of that, although there are like not duplication of lending, there are about 2.8, 3 million women are involved in the microfinance. So that if you are trying to reach out to some innovation like that, you can. It's a highly structured, regularly meeting. All these microfinance members meet once every month, sometimes twice a month. And so there's about they have their own statements. Now, right now, the portfolio is like 322 billion. So, all I'm trying to say is that there's a tremendous amount of money, credit going on, but then these women are not informed of the latest technology. Mobile banks are coming, but so there must be a lot of other technologies that can be accessed. Next slide, please. And so there's about next slide. You see another slide? I don't see it.
Types of mechanization.
Okay, yes. Okay, now, a lot of people talk about killing, stretching, and so on and so forth, but then as a woman myself, and I'm also interested in the farming myself, and I try to think like what solutions, opportunities there exist on the ground, in the technology, in the field of technology or in the mechanization. And I see that from tilling to seeding, spraying, irrigating, harvesting, hauling, shelling, making pellets for the animals, drying, sorting the cereal grains, grading, grinding, packaging, storing, you name it there, you find it in so many varieties. I mean, it was like our dream to actually have some sort of a tillers in a mountainous country like Nepal. Some 20 years ago, when I'm running down up and down the mountains, I used to, kind of aspire, like when would technology ever reach to this land? But Japan has devised technologies and it has become accessible, and China is next door, and they make it in a very reasonable price. And you go to a mechanization store, and you just run into it, and you see a wide range of implements, tools that are so handy. Like even sickles, for example, the cutters, sickles, grass cutters, and so on and so forth. That the big gap that I find is that women are really not given the information at all. So they basically run their mechanization store, and most of them have not been lucky enough to be able to graduate from school. And although they are in different user groups and they are doing quite well, our president is a woman, and then there are So you can see that there are, quantum changes. There are a lot of these deputy mayors are women and so on and so forth. But when it comes to really practically reaching out with information technology, they fall behind. So the next slide, do you have the next slide? Okay, now just to give a a taste of the microfinance area, we have 34 branches. You can see that there are 35,000 members, 22,000 almost clients. Last January, and I made a quick survey, and I found that there are only 11 branches, 9 new sellers, and some farm sales. So basically, 0.28% of our total portfolio is invested on mechanization. And then I asked, why has it not happened? And they said, well, there's no information. Our staff themselves do not know what exists. Sometimes I'm quite amazed to see that they don't even know, haven't even heard about biogas. Biogas has made quantum change in the country, but then they haven't heard about it. So the staff come from the local areas, and so they have plenty to do, but then they are the link between these innovations and the women, and so they need to be made aware about what is happening in the country. So everybody says that, well, look at the terrain. How can the machine come to this land? And they need the exposures, and they need information, leaflets, catalogs, things like that. And I've been also asking if Scott remembers that, can you provide us a catalog with a little background of like, how does that machine function, how much it costs, how it helps, like that. And if something like that very simple tool is access to this microfinance sector, then we might be able to reach out to potentially 5 million women. So next slide, please. Okay. Okay. Well, personally, I see that there's a yes.
1 minute. 1 minute remaining.
Oh, I see. Okay. I see. Okay. So the gap of information exists, and it is very difficult. We have tried to reach out to in the Rolpa, and then reaching out a mini tractor to Holeri branch cost about, like it's about 15,000 or 20,000 alone. So those are something that is not. So the question is, who is going to bear this cost? And so, but despite the potential that mechanization microfinance can do, these questions remain. Next slide, please. Next slide. 2,000 almost clients. Okay. Now the challenge is that we hear so much about the subsidy, and unfortunately, the truth behind lies that all the subsidy program has gone only to the men. This is a female-headed household versus a male-headed households, and somehow the access has not been true. Whether it is because of the language, because of the literacy, and so on and so forth, that women haven't found this subsidy user-friendly for them at all. So there's no, and then the terrain alone makes it very impossible for them to really actually, even if they are aware about it, how to find it. And sometimes I used to wonder, like earlier Subha said, that whether this is making them into another trap. When you see a machine, you always
we
see
need to wrap up. We need to wrap up. I'm sorry.
All right. Okay. Maybe there's one or two other slides, and we can another slide, please. Next slide. Well, all I'm trying to say is that in the next slide is that although there are so many policies that have come, if we are very keen on actually accessing mechanization to women, then we need to also probably bring with the agriculture ministry present here, that we need to think about that. And so, okay, the last point is to see that, okay, most of these subsidies been, if it is to be directed to women through this microfinance sector, we need to work it out with a central bank and have a policy. So basically, do give a subsidy on the loans for mechanization, and the idea is if we can create 10% of that loan into a fund for training the women, giving the maintenance services, spare parts, service parts, and so on and so forth, and that really would give them the confidence that the women feel happy about buying the machines. Right now, they when something happens to the machine, they're so far away, even to reaching out to the nearest market center takes about a 1 day, 2 day. It will be very difficult. So all I'm trying to say is that we need to give some sort of an induction training. If all okay, I'm aware that this, each of these states are now giving 35 crore, 20 crores in subsidies for mechanization, and it has all gone to the hands of either the fake farmers or pseudo farmers, or largely men. And I think also another unfortunate thing is that when there is subsidy, there are some people in the government find that this is another avenues of really minting money out of these programs. So I didn't want to say be mean about it, but this is just a common knowledge that when there's a subsidy.
Okay. We've got to go, Sumitra.
That's it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. I'll leave my comments just to, I really do think it's coming down to these access to, and better access to subsidies, training, obviously, and awareness. Okay, I believe Kanchan Raj Pandey has joined us now again, and he's going to give the secretary's speech. Kanchan, are you there?
Yes, I'm ready. Okay, it's fine.
Yes, please start.
Thank you. Good afternoon and namaste. Director General of ICIMOD, Dr. Pema, Joint Secretary from the Ministry, Scott. It's a long time to see you.
Long time.
Yeah. Chief and officials from the development partners, non-governmental organizations, research organization, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. I am pleased to participate in this opening session. It's a very important webinar. This is highly focused on women farmer and sustainable mechanizations. It's the very timely needed one, and also improving livelihood in the Hindu Kush Himalaya, where this ICIMOD is working for a long time. Let me start by thanking Director General, FAO, Sahayatra, CIPRED, and other institutions for organizing this important event. Ladies and gentlemen, as we know that a critical important geo-ecological aspect, the Hindu Kush Himalaya is home to global biodiversity hotspot and provides ecosystem services. For example, water, food, energy, and so on, to sustain the lives of about 240 million people. The Hindu Kush Himalaya region is geologically fragile, with young and rising mountains usually vulnerable to the erosion and landslides, even without the human interferences. Food and nutrition insecurity remains a serious challenge in this region. More than 30% of the population suffering from food insecurity, and about 50% face some of the form of the malnutrition, with women and children suffering the most, which are multifaceted and complex and influenced by a range of factors. Increasing climate variability and extreme events, coupled with limited investment in the mountain agriculture and rural development, which have resulted in low productivity and lack of farm employment opportunities, pushing men into seeking alternate livelihood, especially we all know that migration to the Gulf and other countries. This situation have therefore compelled women to take on the tasks formerly done by the men, especially in land preparation, harvest, and post-harvest operations, also in marketing of the produce. Adding all this adds to the burden of the household and off-farm work. So, need of women-friendly technology and machinery is felt in present days. Farm mechanization is often taken as a key agricultural approach to achieve the economy of scale offset effect of labor shortage, reduce crop cultivation related drudgeries, and enhance yield and profitability. In recent years, the use of small-scale mechanization among the smallholder farming system in the South Asian countries is increasing, mainly through the service provisions, indicating positive sign of agricultural transformation. Nonetheless, most of the existing farm mechanization-based technologies are unfortunately either gender blind or at most gender neutral, to the detriment of women and minimizing gender disparity among the farmers has been a primary concern for planners and policymakers. In the context of Nepal, with almost 65% of people relying on farming, the agriculture sector is increasingly feminized, which has resulted in a state where women are required to take up additional tasks of farming in the inherently male-dominated sector. In this changing situation, gender-responsive farm mechanization would not only save their time and effort, but also empower them through skills enhancement and farm management. However, most technologies, including farm mechanizations, are traditionally considered the domain of men, and women are less involved in technology selection and adoption processes. The challenging landscapes of Nepal, particularly the hilly areas, therefore require the improvement and scaling of technologies which not only saves time, effort, and cost, but also support women's empowerment and reduce gender inequality. Recently, there is an increasing realization of agricultural mechanization among planners and policymakers in Nepal. Government of Nepal has formulated and approved agricultural mechanization promotion policy 2014 to promote agricultural mechanization and commercializing in agriculture. The agriculture prospective plan that is from 1995 to 2015, agriculture development strategy 2014, and the 15th plan has strongly recognized a need for promotion of agricultural mechanization for the to commercialize and develop of this development of this competitive agriculture. Despite positive policy environment issues and concerns like subsistence farming, small and fragmented farm size and difficult terrain, technological and human resources constraint, weak agricultural machinery manufacturing enterprise, and high price and uncertainty in the availability of the rural energy sources are hindering the development of the mechanization. In this context, this webinar has been a viable platform for interactions between the different stakeholders to gain better understanding of the current context and explore opportunities and barriers to introducing customized technologies in the context of Hindu Kush Himalaya region. I assume that the webinar will sum up with concrete strategies for mainstreaming and institutionalizing agricultural mechanization for improving productivity while also reducing drudgery for women farmers. I request for your active participation in the discussion program. I would like to assure that ministry will take this conclusion and recommendation positively in the further processes. I wish a very successful completion of this program. Thank you. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you, Kanchanji. And a minute under. I really appreciate that too. On top of that, I would give our thanks to the secretary, and we're sorry he couldn't make it, but we're glad you were there and to fill in.
I will convene.
And we will definitely be trying to advise you all coming out of this workshop. And we hope to be even forming groups, discussion groups and such around that will continue the discussions further on. So that's all I'll say about that. I thank you again. And again, give our respects and thanks to the secretary. Yeah. So now we're moved to the second presentation. Find my spot here. Our next presentation is from the Honorable Sri Ram Gamiri, another Joint Secretary at the Agriculture and Livestock Business Promotion Division, Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock Development, Government of Nepal. You've got 15 minutes for your presentation. I'm going to try to stick to it, and I'll be warning you 1-2 minutes ahead of time. Over to you, Honorable Gamiri.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank you, ICIMOD, and its management team to provide me this opportunity to express some of my views on the given topic, very important topic. Very good afternoon to all of you, Mr. Secretary of MOLD, Director General of ICIMOD, distinguished dignitaries from FAO, Sahayatra, Shipred, and respected presenters, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very, very important topic that you have chosen in this time, that why Nepalese agricultural farming systems cannot improve within the given period of time. That is why the major lacking part behind this is our traditional farming systems. And that very traditional farming systems, though Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development has been launching various types of programs with the timely formulation of different types of policies, even though implementation part of those policies, they are not getting very much expected results. Our implementation part seems to be weak, something like that. So I will go to into my slides because the time is very limited. This is just background. Agriculture sector, as we know, our country Nepal is a agricultural country. More than 2.3 million hectares we have agricultural land, but having low productivity. We have a diverse agroecology. More than 60% of population resides on this agri farming business. Out migration is our very emerging phenomena of our, particularly our young people. We are not being able to capture those young people to our domestic business. We have, next please, next slide please. Next slide please. Okay, thank you. So mechanization, only the mechanization is our opportunity, which increases labor productivity and enables efficient utilization of agri inputs, different kinds of agri inputs. The mechanizations plays a very great role, as we know very well. Not only it increases efficiency, but also reduces drudgery of human due to high workload. On an average, female works 16.3 hours more in non-economic work, whereas male labor is paid works for only 7.4 hours more than female. It is the record of Central Bureau of Statistics. Women need to be technically backstabbed. It is a very fundamental thing that our main agriculture human power is woman, and we need to women need to be technically backstabbed in the very right time. Next, please. So what status of agricultural mechanization, as we all know, the mechanization started only in 2000s, but spreading fast since 2015. Approximately 5% area only has been mechanized in hills till now. Mini tillers are popular in hills due to small size, and even many our women can handle the mini tillers. That is why its use is being popular in hills. And these mini tillers, they are used in planting, seeding, and in some cases they are used in harvesting technology as well. Next, please. Government has felt that the only way to mobilize and to increase the efficiency of women farmers is to provide a subsidy. Hello, are you listening to me, please?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, okay. So subsidy policy, the government has designed different types of subsidy policy in different period of time to address the women farmers and to make them more active and to increase their efficiency, to enhance their capability. Different types of subsidy programs has been arranged by our government. In 2014, government initiated implementation of subsidy schemes. An average of 50% subsidy is provided to four-wheel tractor attachments, power tillers, and providing limited amount of flat subsidy on agricultural machinery. Sometimes it may distort the market, and underprivileged groups of farmers will have difficulty in accessing government subsidy. There are some difficulties in implementation of subsidy, and women's interest for subsidy for machinery is high, but obstacle for access to subsidy programs due to the lack of land ownership document. Because always there is a tendency to be a owner by the male household. Even there are a number of females, more members in females in the households, but the likelihood of the ownership goes to the man. That is why there is some sort of difficulty for implementing the subsidy program. And gradually subsidy for larger machinery introduced, like combine harvesters and laser and land laborers are also increasing, particularly in the Tarai region. Next, please. And we have a latest umbrella agriculture policy, that is agriculture development strategy, which is a 20 years visionary plan started from 2015 up to 2035. It has strongly recognized the need for promotion of agricultural mechanization for the commercialization and development of competitive agriculture. The importance of integrating JC provision has been recognized throughout the ADS processes. Improvements in the land ownership by women from 16% to 50% during the 1535 during the period of agricultural development strategy. The silent on qualifying either the proportion of the women in the research or technology cadre. Because we do have feel so many things we have to create. We have to create the conducive environment for the women so that they can join in every progressive activities of agricultural development. So that is why our umbrella policy has also vision, has given some clear vision how for the woman farmer encouragement. Next. Now, we do have agricultural mechanization promotion policy in 2013. The main objectives I have listed here 4. Increase the productivity, to develop the service and business of agricultural machineries, to identify the promotion of women and environment-friendly agricultural machineries, and to establish and strengthen the organizational structure of quality standardization, regulation, monitoring, promotion of agricultural machineries for agriculture. Main first, how to increase, how can we increase the efficiency of agricultural business, and how do we reduce the production cost per unit area by utilizing, by increasing the efficiency of women farmers particularly. Next please. This is the table. Target set for raising the level of agricultural mechanization up to the period of 2025. The percentage of agricultural mechanization to current strategy is 40%. We have short-term, medium-term, and long-term targets. Short-term targets up to 19, that is 50. Medium-term target up to 22, that is 60%. And long-term target up to 25, that is 70% mechanization. So now power used in kilowatt per hectare mechanically, current status is 0.67, short-term 0.74, medium-term 0.85, and up to 25 we have the target 1.19. So this is the target, and based on the target we set, we have designed the various types of programs with given subsidy and focusing our women farmers. Next please. Our sole research institutes of agriculture sector is the NARC, as we all know. The NARC develops women-friendly technologies which help to reduce women's drudgery in agriculture sector, particularly agriculture technology and machinery. For example, zero minimum tillage technology, rice weeder, pedal patter thresher for wheat thresher, manual corn sheller, water management technology for early rice and wheat, low-cost solar dryer, improved cardamom dryer, improved plastic house for off-season vegetable cultivation, jab seeder plant, so on and so on. So all these types of machineries, if we conduct them very efficiently, they provide us efficiency in reducing the production cost, parallelly reducing the woman's drudgery in the same time. Next please. Gender responsive budget is also another important prospect we have designed so far. The government of Nepal has institutionalized a gender responsive budget system in all government mechanism. This is introduced GRB system in the financial year of 2007-2008 in Nepal for the first time, and this government budget from 11.9% to 37.42% in last 12 years. So government responsive budget in agriculture is oriented primarily towards the livelihood support in the areas of food security, income generation, and marketing. All these major activities are very much carried by women farmers, and the efficiency of women farmers need to be increased efficiently. That is why this gender responsive budget we have set so far. Next please. So we have strategies reducing drudgery of women farmers in the hills. That is for the cultivation, for the sowing, mechanized irrigation, in the case of cultural operation by using different kinds of machines, insecticide, pesticide operations, for the harvesting, for the threshing, and for the post-harvest and processing. Different kinds of activities we can complete within a very given short period of time by the use of different kinds of machines, and we have set the strategies to implement those different kinds of machineries in those areas, focusing increasing the efficiency of women and reducing their drudgery. Next please.
2 minutes.
Okay. So government role, what may the government do? Women-friendly policies we have implemented. Scale of NARC development drudgery, reducing technology. Priority of local manufacturing, women-friendly machineries we have introduced. Subsidized machineries in women-centered mechanization, budget allocation, and we have to arrange the credit facilities for all these activities for empowerment of women. So recruitment of women engineers as well for the better and efficient performing activities for all these prospects. Next, please. The way forward in the two perspectives, at policy level and program level. In the policy level, scale appropriate machinery that locally manufactured through the subsidy and encourage entrepreneurship development and increase access, and the training program for scale of appropriate mechanization and maintenance of those machineries, and priority in research. And what may be the program level? Expanding the women's farmers group and promote women in active entrepreneurship and manage in machinery technology. Provide regular budget and support program to increase the women in mechanization for their capacity building, and provide regular budgeting subsidy for women and for the mechanized along with the improving credit flow. And for overall, our aim is to involve the educated women in commercial to semi-commercial to commercial agriculture by the use of machineries and increasing their efficiency and overall better performing of the agriculture sector. Thank you very much.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much, community. That a couple of things that popped out to me, your list of work and the machinery that could help the women, and actually Madam Sumitra's lists were very similar. So, I mean, we're pretty much in agreement and understanding of what machinery is needed and necessary out there, I think. That was one thing that stuck out to me. I was reminded, you mentioned that, or showed in your slide anyhow. First off, I'd say that, you know, the improvement of the ADS over the APP, where the APP old plan from mid-90s to mid-2000s, you know, actually said, let's not mechanize and let's do things by hand. So, I mean, it was such an amazing improvement after that. This, I think the opportunity that Kanchan sir had said that, you know, that the ministry and secretary will be looking at our outputs closely. But with this working the AMPOS, the operational strategy for the agriculture mechanization promotion, and you stating also, you know, that nothing has been quantified. We say we need to serve women, but we're not putting any quantification on that. There's a good chance maybe to include some quantification within the AMPOS, and you know, and I know that many of your former programs and ongoing programs also have quantification of reaching X amount of women farmers. Usually it's 50% or more. So thank you so much for that presentation, and I really appreciate your time and effort on that. Next up, we have yes. Who was that? I say next up we have a short presentation in the form of a speed talk. I now invite Rashmi Karel from Center of Environmental and Agriculture Policy Research, Extension and Development, better known as CIPRID, there in Nepal. Invite her to come and give her presentation. In 5 minutes. You there, Rashmi?
Yes. Yeah. Namaste and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rashmi Karel Karmacharya, and I'm associated with CPRED as its gender focal person. CPRED is a leading NGO of Nepal, and we are currently operational in 46 districts of Nepal through our various projects. As it's just a 5 minutes of speed talk that I will be doing, I'll be very briefly talking about women issues and will be sharing more pictures on women where you will see rural women using simple tools and technologies in farming. So just to give you the brief of the topic that we are discussing today, that the problem statement and the challenges that we see now is, the root cause of increasing women involvement in agriculture is mainly due to increasing male migration, with which has resulted in problems like, as we have been discussing in this seminar today, that it has increased women's increasing workload, their drudgery, and their more engagement in low productive work. And the solution with which our Secrets project also seeks is to provide increased access to scale appropriate mechanization, which will help in reducing drudgery and will increase their productivity through usage of poly house, mulching, or cream separator, or a churning machine. It could be a use of millet tillers, crop harvesters like brush cutters, threshers, shellers, and in modern irrigation tools, we have been using like drip and solar irrigation tools, soil cement tank. And the result and the impact that we have been able to see is a lot of saves time and energy of women, which has helped in drudgery reduction and enhanced their labor productivity. And in our case also in the projects that we do, we have also seen, women farmers were able to leverage agriculture equipment from local municipality also. So as we all know, the lesson learned that when we talk about women in agriculture, we all understand by now that men and women's problems are always different. And whenever we introduce technologies in a women farmer's life, then it should be always women-friendly technologies, and which should also be simple, affordable, and these days it can be customized as well. So that if these things are done, then these technologies have quick and wider adoption. So apart now, moving on, I will let my pictures do the talk. I'll be sharing the picture in this first picture where through in our project and intervention, these were major interventions to create productivity, where you see a lady engaged in tomato pruning, mulching, and use of high plastic terrain. And these are in various Tarai sectors of Nepal. And this has led to increase in productivity. And in order to reduce drudgery, we see women farmer using a cream separator at Rasua, similarly a mulching happening in the Dura, and a mini tiller being handed over at Kavri. Similarly, we see the interventions of our interventions to reduce drudgery, wherein women farmers are using a pedal rice thresher in Kanchanpur, and a lady is using a corn sheller, and a reaper also for rice harvesting in Surkhet. Then this is quite a common scene these days, as we see, many projects handing over mini tillers to the women farmers in hills and in Tarai, where we can see through these pictures that a lady is weeding vegetables in a farm in Kailali. Similarly, a hand-operated mini tiller in Kailali, then another mini tiller used in another Tarai section of Nepal. Here we have used the irrigation-related intervention, where
Less than a minute.
Yeah, where we can see use of diesel-power water pump in irrigation in Dang. We have used drip irrigation for vegetables in Surkhet, solar irrigation. So these are very common technologies used these days. And also we see as a part of irrigation intervention, soil cement tank and drip irrigation again. And yes, before finally, when I conclude, I wanted to share this picture in particular because this is one of our success stories in Kavri, where, because the women were so empowered with the various gender intervention tools that we used in our project, that they were able to, on their own, they were able to leverage agricultural equipment from the local municipality and government. Even though this was not, this was not the part of the project, but they were so empowered that the government and the municipalities came together, wherein they had handed over 2 tillers like this in Kaveri. So with this, I've come to the end of my quick presentation. So I'd like to thank everybody, especially FOA and ICIMOD also. Thank you, everyone.
Very nice, very nice. Nearly on time. Appreciate that. What I take away and what I like about this one presentation was that she showed nicely that it's not just mini tillers. A lot of even what I've done in the past and worked in the past has worked around mini tillers, but there's so many more machines out there. And Sumitra even mentioned, visiting, I guess it was in China or whatnot, that that these stores for machinery and tools seem to be located a lot closer to the villages. Where we have these stores, Sumitra, by the way, your face is currently the big face on my laptop. But we have these stores. They just happen to be, most of them in Kathmandu. And there's actually quite a few of the Terai districts and some hill district center towns that have some of these stores and machinery outlets that have the machinery that Rashmi was showing right there. But it's a very nice example of, it's not just mini tillers and so many other machines needed and necessary. And we really, the focus has, again, been on mini tillers and not on the mills and not on the shellers or the threshers and pumps. I like that she had the pump sets. Pumps always included, I always include in the mechanization side of things. So where are we now? We are moving into our question and answer period, which we have also 10 minutes for, starting now. And I've been given some questions by our staff, my colleagues helping me out here. Let me see. One for Sri Ram Gamiri. Can you explain the process for distribution of subsidies in the field for mechanization that about that women have, I guess, accessed in the field of mechanization and women farming? Do you know, are you aware of any special programs from central government subsidy programs?
Yes, actually, for all effective implementation of our all type of agricultural programs, we need first of all a basic database of our farming people. Actually, for better program formulation, we should start from beginning of the program formulation. In which area, how many our women farmers they are engaging, they are doing their agricultural farming business, and what sort of programs they are running, and what sort of subsidy we have to provide to them, so that they can really get benefit from the subsidy. That is why we have now plan to create a very important software to collect the data, to collect the real data of our farming community. So we have already developed that software for the farmers registration, right? For the better formulation of program activities for particular group of farmers, either they are small farmers or they are middle farmers or they are some sort say large farmers, right? So once we have the real data we got from our various places, then we will formulate the programs accordingly, so that our subsidy and our other facility which we are giving to our farming community, our targeted people will receive real benefit from them. So we are collecting the information, and once we got the real information, on the basis of real information, we design the program accordingly, and we set the subsidy program. Because there is no, though we have a subsidy policy, but the policy does not give us detailed procedures to calculate or to capture all the pros and cons of the implementing of these type of programs. So real information is the must we need, and for collecting the real information, we have already formulated a software, and tomorrow it is one of the very most interesting time today, that tomorrow we are going to inaugurate the software programs by our Right Honorable Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. So how do we collect the information from the grassroots level up to the center? On the basis of those information, and we will provide the subsidy, and which will go directly on the needy farmers.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hello?
Interesting. Yeah. Someone speaking?
Can I rephrase that question? Yeah, I had asked that question basically, that if one woman wants a subsidy for her mechanization, then where should she go? Okay, just to see, our minister said that there is a technology-based program that is going to help, but a simple woman from Jajakot perhaps wants something in her technology mechanization, then where should she approach? Okay, that's my question basically.
Okay, actually
quickly, we've got other questions in line.
Yes,
so.
the approaching point is the local level agricultural office or agricultural knowledge center office, and if they cannot go to district headquarters, they can go to their local body very easily, and they can contact there, and they can get all the information of what sort of subsidy they can get. They can get all the information from their local body by contacting the technical staff working there.
Thank you. Yes. Sumitra ji, one question to you was that can you give some examples of women entrepreneurs who have taken some loans, and I'm guessing they're talking about successfully managing any equipment or machinery with any microfinance, specifically like your own institution?
Yeah, I really cannot give examples where women themselves have taken the loans, but the family members, men in our groups, have taken the loans. And I, for this webinar, I've tried to converse with a number of clients, and I find that in Danabas, which is next to Palung, there are a lot of these clients have taken the loans for these tractors, the 5 horse, 5, 7, 12 horsepower tractors, mini tillers. And I find that it's quite interesting to see that they recovered their investment on those tractors and the mini tillers within a year, and they are able to pay back the loan. For example, 12 horsepower cost about 120,000, and they managed to get recover. I mean, the operational cost is 120,000, and the cost of the machine is 120,000. So within a year, they were able to earn 240,000 from one tractor alone, and which means that from that year onwards, what the machine is left with them, and then everything is a bonus. So that bonus to me is a significant amount of money when women try to look into the amount of cost of the tomatoes and potatoes over, if it is 1 rupee over or under, when they try to sell it in the market like that, a machine alone, in a way, gives them an income about around 10,000 rupees per month. And I think that's a significant amount of it's like really getting a salary, low level salary. And so I've seen that a lot of this in our group, like I said, that 13 branches have given something like one branch has given like 733.1 million for mills, tractors, sellers, and so on and so forth. This is in Tarai actually, but in the hills, the use of the machines are much less. 300,000, 200,000. Something like that. So, in Rakam, in Dailek, they have lent out like one tractor, two mini tractors, and 2 tractors, just like that, very, very limited. And the reason being that women are not at all familiar with like how to access them, how to get it on their spot, how to maintain them, how does it function, what are the spare parts? Those are the main hindering factors. I wonder if I have answered your question.
Yeah, I think so. One of the things that I feel, out of these workshops, many times Nepalis love pointing out all the problems. And there's, I see even in the questions, people pointing out the problems and why this hasn't happened and why there's not been impact. But many people also that are attending this workshop have also traveled through the hills and seen those examples you're talking about. 1 year payback time. Where in the world do you have that kind of, business? That's very common, not only in the tribe, but up in the hills too. Around the mini tillers, likely it's probably around the threshers and shellers. We're out of time. We got 2 questions in the question and answer period. I'm sorry. And we're going to have to move on because time is precious. I'm sorry for all of the people, lots of good questions and lots of good prompts. And I ask our speakers, please, to go back and try to answer directly within the text boxes themselves. And we'll be also documenting these for later use and maybe even try to answer them at a later date as well. Yeah, and as Suman points out, anybody that's tweeting out there about this with the hashtag woman farmer. So where are we now? Yeah, we're finished with the question and answer. Now we're probably starting one of the most important parts, one session of the webinar, the call for action. I'm inviting Deepak Gilwale, who's currently an academician at the Nepal Academy of Science and Technology, better known as NAS, Nepal. The session is for 20 minutes, and Deepak will take the first 5-7 minutes or so to give his initial remarks and ideas of what he's heard thus far. And then the remainder of the time to moderate, consider, and aid the discussion for the various calls of action. Over to you, Deepak. The screen is yours.
Okay. Quickly, since I'm under the tyranny of a tough moderator, let me talk first about the context, then the ecology of policy making, and finally about the policy questions that brought up. First of all, we have a context where we have a problem with the mismanagement of our natural resources, many, but I focus primarily on the drying up of springs. This is a study started about 10 years ago. I asked at Nepal Water Conservation Foundation together with ICIMOD. It's a serious cancer eating into hill societies where entire villages have had to be abandoned because the springs are drying up. Okay. Now, don't jump and immediately say climate change. Climate change is going to make it much worse 10, 15, 20, 50 years hence. But right now it is our mismanagement of technology, long story, another seminar. But this is causing the kind of stress you're seeing in villages in the hills. Okay. Now, also coupled with this in the hills is the lack of services. Dr. Jamso mentioned this drudgery, okay, that people face and hence want to escape from, which is leading to a massive outmigration with feminization and graying of agriculture. Okay. Where we do see success stories are in areas of the informal economy. Amazing innovations are coming out there, including this mechanization, this small-scale mechanization, small-scale shifting away from dryland production into vegetable farming, which is consuming, of course, more water and more drying of springs. It's another story. Okay. Now, behind all this, this out-migration is a political, there's an ecology of political economy, of which I want to highlight only two areas, both of which I had to experience as a minister about 18 years ago. And the first is that we are facing a situation of open border, which is forcing our agriculture to compete against heavily subsidized plains agriculture. Okay, I remember in the hills of Gorkha, potatoes grown in the hills of Gorkha could not be sold in the market or could not compete in the Gorkha Bazaar market with potatoes coming all the way from Punjab. I mean, those potatoes have an energy footprint that's horrendous, all the transport on trucks. But the policies across the border of subsidizing fertilizer, electricity, you name it, pump melas and so on, means that we have farmers who have to compete with a market like that. Now, this is a serious policy question also. Okay. Together with this is an internal problem in Nepal. I was setting up the community electricity system, where there are amazing success stories with women cooperatives running electricity in their villages right now with amazing innovations. It's a different story. But I was helping the farmer-managed irrigation system people to try and come about with more farmer-friendly irrigation policies. And one of the problems we had then was precisely addressing this heavily subsidized import of grain and vegetables, where our own farmers could not compete. Okay. And what was stunning was that we have a trader-friendly policy at the national level and not a producer-friendly. And by producer, I also mean producers of food. Okay, producer-friendly policy. Now, this is something that really needs to be tackled, challenged, and changed. Yeah, that one slide, I only have one slide. And it's an experience that on choice of technology, many years ago when we were doing research, just one slide. If you look at the upper left-hand corner, this is a traditional technology, and about 20, 30 years, my data then showed about almost 80% of hill irrigation was done by these brushwood dams. Now, this is a community technology, okay? Whereas agencies, big agencies where engineers like me with fancy degrees work, we go for cement technology, as you can see. Okay. The tragedy with that particular dam was that the river moved away the year after it was built, leaving it high and dry. Okay. The area collapsed into dacoitry because people lost their livelihoods, because the technology promoted did not work, etc. 20 years later, this other technology, this small scale, you might call it mechanization, the irrigation pump, has restored livelihood in that area. And that area is one of the most prosperous. The Marsuar area of Rupandehi in Nepal is a very prosperous area where you see lots of small scale mechanized agriculture going on. Okay. The point I want to drive here is that technology is not a standalone thing. There is a certain sociology behind technology, and it affects the choice of technology, the type of technology, and everything else. Okay. Now, I'll conclude with what are the primary policy questions behind all this. Now, first, a word about policy. Please let us get away from this idea. You can remove the slide. Let's get away from this idea that policy is only a government thing. Yes, government policy is important. But don't forget, markets have their policies. Don't tell me Coca-Cola doesn't have a policy, or Bill Gates doesn't have a Microsoft policy, or Facebook for that matter. So do activists. Greenpeace has its policy. One is coercive, the government policies. Market policies are persuasive, whereas civic, activist, egalitarian policies are moral policies, okay? Moral pressure policies. Now, so we need to keep that in mind. And the quick questions that I have here is, what kind of policy would encourage rural youth to raise buffaloes in Nepal and sell milk and milk products rather than herd camels in the Gulf? This is a very, very serious question for Nepal, and we have to address that. It's not just one policy, not just a question of subsidy or providing cheap loans and all that, important as they are. There's a whole lot of things, including things like schools for children, including hospitals for aged, where people can really live and serve services. The second is the energy footprint, the water and energy footprint. And I think this is something that's going to be the core issue of new environmentalism in what remains of the 21st century. We have to go for products that have very low energy footprints and water footprints. The big hope in this area are the ethnic restaurants that are coming up thanks to the tourism industry, where local crops, millet, finger millet, kodo for instance. I was so pleased the other day in Surkhet to be able to try kodoko bread, finger millet bread, not your white maida bread, okay? Very tasty, but kodo does not consume water for irrigation. It doesn't need irrigation. It grows on residual soil moisture post-monsoon, okay? Now, this is a huge, huge advantage, and unless we begin to popularize these things through policy, ethnic food, suitable to the agroecological climatic zones, I think we're going to be in a very difficult situation. And this is where tax policies are extremely essential. Other point is we should take strategic advantage of hill agri products. Everybody in Nepal knows, in the Taran hills, vegetables grown in the hills are more tasty than the ones in the plains. Why? Because they take longer to mature. They probably absorb a lot more nutrients, minerals, whatever, okay? But we have not been able to brand and market those products properly, nor properly provide them the kind of support, policy support that's required. Organic, pesticide-free hill, vegetables would fetch a premium price in any kind of market. The other point is improving, and this is extremely critical, improving technological depth of equipment in Nepal. It is not just enough to provide a small handheld tiller. There should also come the entire baggage of repair and maintenance, people who know how to service it, people who can find the right spare part, or the local blacksmith who can, tweak certain bits and pieces to make the equipment function again. This is technological depth. And if we forget a policy of providing technological depth to our technologies, small scale, large scale, doesn't matter, easier with small scale, we will not go. Which is the difference between a handheld tiller distributed to a local area by an NGO, whether it will become a capital good or whether it will become junk within 6 months, is going to be dependent on the technological depth and the repair, maintenance, and other support facilities. And finally, let us remember that these technologies come together nexused. So you cannot see small-scale mechanized agriculture expansion without seeing it simultaneously with also decentralized rural communication in the form of mobile phones, which is giving tremendous power to farmers to deal directly with the hard bazaar, bypassing rapacious rent-seeking middlemen. So in summary, these are exactly the kind of policy questions that I think we will be discussing, and we have summarized them in 6 points, far more politely than I have done. So please.
Thank you. Scott, I will take over from Deepak ji here. Thank you, Deepak ji. He just reminded us that we cannot talk about farm mechanization in isolation. The policies supporting farm mechanization do not exist in a vacuum. There is a larger ecosystem that we need to address. We need to also understand why mountain hill agriculture is facing such a challenge, what can be done to revive it, because promoting farm mechanization, it's catch-22. So while promoting farm mechanization can help increase productivity, but then if we have continued challenges from other areas to the products from the farms in the mountains, then mechanization cannot play any role. And so, we really need to think about it in a much complicated and layered manner than we probably could during this webinar. But we have tried to look at the presentations made by all the speakers. ICIMOD had also organized a regional consultation meet with speakers from 5 countries coming to Kathmandu to talk about exactly this issue, who identified what are the key challenges for adoption of farm technology by women farmers. And based on that, we have identified 6 key call for action points. I would request my colleague Udayan to put up those slides. And what we really want to do, so the first slide, so the first point that we constantly has come up is we need to invest in research and understanding the challenges and gaps in why mechanization is not being adopted by women. It's not just a simple thing of machines are available and women would adopt it. There are many other barriers that prevent women from adopting these technologies, but we are not investing enough in understanding and documenting these challenges and identifying some of the solutions. So we need to do that, whether it is the international organizations working in these areas or the government of Nepal or different departments and municipalities. This investment has to be made. The second area for call for action is once we understand these barriers and once we understand what are the needs of women farmers, we need to then suitably customize these machines. If we are not able to do that, to the needs of women farmers, then we will find that these are not being adopted by them. The third point is we have talked a lot about subsidies, but we need to make sure that women farmers know about these subsidies if they have to take advantage of it. And the second is, if we really want women to have access to machines, then we must promote access to collateral-free loans, which can probably be linked to microfinance or cooperatives, which, especially in South Asia, a lot of work has gone in developing microfinance and cooperatives in this region. So we really need to see how this link goes. The fourth point is that we need to acknowledge and promote women-led small mechanization enterprises by helping develop targeted business development curricula, peer-to-peer mentorship and coaching. There's a huge potential among women entrepreneurs in the mountains, and they can really lead this revolution of farm mechanization only if we provide them with the right kind of support. The fifth is strengthening, we have a huge network of agriculture extension services, but how do we make sure that these agriculture extension services have the capacities to reach out to women farmers and provide them with information and knowledge on these machines, and also build their capacities to handle, repair, and maintain these machines? This is a point that Deepak ji has also raised, that unless, it's not about one-time provision of machines, but it's really moving forward and talking about the whole repair and maintenance as well. And then the last point, point 6, is that a lot of innovation in these technologies is being done by informal private sector that is really promoting innovative small-scale machinery. We really need to recognize and encourage the role of these informal private sector through state policies linked to subsidies and fair tax regimes. So to the audience, my question now is, we have identified these 6 areas for call for action for international organizations, researchers, and government departments. What we would really like you to do now is to vote and prioritize out of these 6, according to you, which are the most important 3 priority areas that need immediate action. And for that, we are going to use Slido. I'm sure most of you are used to using Mentimeter. It is similar to that. If actually you open up your phones and cameras in your phones and scan the code, which you can see on the screen, you will immediately go to the page as soon as my colleague activates it. You can also go to the website slido.com and enter the event code 14891, and you will be able to join the event as soon as my colleague activates it. So we will have 2 sets of questions. The first, you will see these 6 points that I just laid out to you in the first page, and you can pick your top 3 from these 6 points. In case you choose something that you want to replace with, you just need to unclick it and click the other one, and you'll be able to choose your top 3 and then just do send, click the send button. The second page will actually ask a question to you. Now, these are 6 points that we have provided, but we know that among our audience, which has actually been almost 130 at one point of time, and a lot of you are practitioners and researchers, you have a lot more information. So the question we will ask you is, what else can be done to promote hill mechanization for women farmers in the mountains? So with this, I request all of you to kindly go to slido.com and start voting.
We have the number.
Yeah, you can already see the code. Yeah. You can see the code, that is given on the page that is displayed on the screen. So I hope all of you are able to access the site. If you're having any problem, just let us know in the chat box and start voting. We will start seeing the numbers, will start appearing on the screen, and we will know which are the most important action areas that you think need immediate actions. So we can see that people have started voting. This is your chance to contribute to a call for action. It's increasing, yeah.
It's starting. I'll remind that we've only got about 4 to 5 minutes left. I'm giving a little bit extra time for this because it's so important.
I strongly urge all of you to vote because I really see a lot of value in this. This is going to guide the work of a lot of organizations working in Nepal on hill agriculture, mountain agriculture. And we hope to take this forward with the government and with relevant agencies.
I'll make a comment while it's a little bit quiet that my least favorite is but I also recognize its importance is promote a little bit more. Where it keeps shifting around. No.
Okay, we have 33 responses till now. We have 33 responses till now. We are waiting for, we are hoping to get at least 100. We still have 92 people with us, more than that, in fact. If you're having any problem accessing the website, please drop a line in the chat box.
The adapt, source, and invest in R&D and customize the machines. But we've got many machines out there that haven't been customized and have found a really good market. And I'll also credit that our private sector fellows, after years of maybe some failures of bringing some machinery from here and there and not finding markets with them, have figured out many times, found machinery in China, in India, wherever it is they're going, and have brought it back to Nepal. And that's what we've got. And a lot of this is those mills, those combo rice flour mills, and the open drum threshers, powered open drum threshers. Now thousands of those sold here, and just in the last few years. But
Slido does not open.
But there's still these other work areas that have had no machinery, to mechanize them. So,
Maybe 10 seconds more. I'll start the countdown now. This is your last chance to vote and pick your call for action. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.5, 1. So we stop the voting now. Thank you everyone who has participated in this. It's great. We will let you know the responses very soon. Can you put down the top 3? Okay, now this is your chance to see if anything that the speakers have missed out on, that we have missed out on in putting forward in call for action, please go to this page and you can actually type out a sentence, but we request you to keep your suggestions short so that it's easy for us to collate. So you can actually just start, it's the same process. You just go to slido.com and you can start typing your suggestions now on what else urgently needs to be included in the call for action if you want to promote mechanization among women farmers in the hills and mountains.
Can they do this while we move into our closing?
Yes, we can do that. I mean, everyone, Udayan, do they have to go back again to Slido, or will it automatically go to the next page? Okay. Okay, so information is coming. What I request the participants to do is please keep putting in your suggestions, but as we are running late, we are also requesting to move ahead with the last part of this session. Scott, go ahead.
Well, first off, need to thank Deepak for his always insightful comments and ways forward. And I'm in heavy agreement too that government policy can be very helpful, but it's not always necessarily limiting. If we can free up the civic sector, and especially private sector as well. Appreciate those. But now we're coming to the closing of the event, and like to provide the concluding remarks. We were going to invite Takayuki Hagiwara. Is he still around and with us to give these final remarks? Or do we have Thomas?
Thomas. Okay. Then over to you, Thomas, for giving the concluding remarks.
Okay, colleagues, thank you very much. Do you hear me well? Is that
yes,
okay?
We hear you well, and you might introduce yourself very briefly, Thomas.
Sure. So, colleagues, my name is Thomas Hofer. I am the Senior Forestry Officer in the Regional Office of FAO for the Asia and the Pacific. And I am basically an old friend of Nepal because in my work before FAO, I was based in Nepal in 97, 98, working for ICIMOD at that time. And at that time, I also met many times, with Deepak, with Pema, and we also, I think, crossed paths with Sumitra. So it's very, very nice being participating in this seminar and having listened to very, very important speeches, but also reflections and considerations. So what I'm doing is, because our Assistant Director General, Mr. Kim, is not available today, so I'm providing the final remarks on behalf of Mr. Kim and also on behalf of Mr. Taka, who just had to move to a meeting with the Deputy Director General of FAO. So let me just flag a few points. So from today's sessions, I believe we can all agree that this same webinar offered a very valuable opportunity to learn the Nepal's experience in gender and mechanization at the policy and implementation level. Very important. So we had insights from the policy, but also from the very practical level. We have heard the government's point of view, its awareness that the rural women face an unsustainable work burden because of the feminization of agriculture, and its recognition of the inadequate levels of mechanization adoption so far. So a very important message from the government side. We have also been informed that the gender perspective is highlighted in national policies, national development plans, mechanization policy, but that the efforts have to be further coordinated to achieve desired results. So the policies are there, but the implementation, so really to coordinate that the desired results are being achieved. For instance, mechanization service provision is not as widely available as planned. But we have also heard about the potential of technologies suitable for women's production and processing tasks, such as mini tillers, water pumps, threshers, dryers. For these, I would like to stress the importance of further investments in supporting women with mechanization. The call for action that we formulated as a community today offers specific options for the way forward on gender and mechanization in Nepal. It contributes to a joint vision for all development partners. FAO is committed to working with ICIMOD in supporting the government to achieve these goals. We will hold similar webinars in Bhutan, and we will bring together the participants that contributed today with those from the other countries. A regional webinar will also offer the opportunity to discuss and learn from one another and decide on a common way forward. We also hope to be able to establish a regional network that will promote cross-learning amongst countries involved to support rural women's social and economic empowerment. Colleagues, I think personally know that this topic we are dealing with is so important because everybody talks today about, digitalization, mechanization of rural areas, and we are talking particularly about mountain areas and about a focus on women. And I personally think, in today's world, this is a very, very important element of livelihood improvement, but also of reducing out-migration ultimately, because it provides new opportunities for mountain areas, for mountain agriculture, especially for young people, young women, and for the communities. So finally, I would like to thank all the speakers and participants, particularly the Secretary for taking time out to give the speech. Unfortunately, he was not available, so he delegated a very senior colleague to speak on his behalf. That's very much appreciated. As well as the team from both FAO and ICIMOD side who have worked behind the scene to make this possible. So I hope many of we have received a lot of important food for thought, and we will continue this dialogue together, as I said, with another webinar in Bhutan, but we will meet again in a regional consultation. Thank you very much. With this, I would like to close the remarks from our ADG. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Thomas, and give thanks to your ADG, Mr. Takayuki. With that, I want to thank all the speakers and panelists and participants for your valuable contributions. I think it's been really interesting. I'm learning myself today. I've learned quite a bit. This now brings us to the end of today's webinar. I'd like to thank once again all the speakers, participants especially. People, that text box has just gone crazy with everybody's questions and comments, and I truly appreciate that. And I'm going to take time. I hope those are going to be available for us to look at and consider later on tomorrow. Thank you for active engagement and valuable inputs. I should ask Suman, is there anything else from your side to consider? ICIMOD?
No, thanks, Scott. We will put up information on our next upcoming webinar very soon. So we request everyone to watch out for that. And we are trying to put on the Slido once again, so people who are leaving can still see what are some of the comments that have come in from all the participants. And thank you so much from the entire team sitting here in Kathmandu.
It's been wonderful. Again, this isn't goodbye. It's see you later. Through these regional networks, and we've got your emails as well, and we'll be contacting you about all the future plans. So Lastly, everybody take care, stay safe, of course, wash your hands, wear a mask, and goodbye. Goodbye from Myanmar, goodbye from Nepal.
I think the moderator is already gone.
Joint Secretary Public on. Can you announce?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the speakers are still online, can I request them to put on their videos? All the speakers, if Sumitra ji, Sriram Gimire ji, if you're still around, then put on your video. Can you switch on your videos?
I think they were left. Few of us are here.
You can see your it. Where are you?
Yeah. Okay. I need to look here. I'm trying to look at the.
Everyone, sorry, just switch on your camera.
Yeah, Pratikya, you too. Switch on your camera.
You also promised still that mindset that we need to be together for photograph.
Well, your camera is on. I don't think it's working.
That's what camera.
I think he's trying to take a picture.
Just a second.